push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a Monday edition of the YSN Power Hour, brought to you by Toyota of Warren. I'm DJ. So happy to be back. And most of you probably sitting there going, wait a minute. You went down south, you hung out on a beach, and you're happy to be back? Yes, people of Power Hour Nation, of YS Nation, I am ecstatic to be back. And let me tell you why. Because after Easter, after all the shenanigans of Murder Beach, whatever you want to call it, come to a conclusion, I feel like we can turn a page on the last 3 months, right? The chaos, the craziness that has been my life and the life of so many others over the last 3 months. I feel like that was the natural page turner to the next chapter. And it has been awesome. It has been great. Myrtle Beach was a great trip, a successful trip for YSN, for the teams down there. And I am ready to get going with some conference baseball and softball games, with some great track meets, with some awesome field play going on during those track meets. I am excited for spring sports to fully commence starting tomorrow. And I say tomorrow because I look at the our schedule that is laid out so well by Quinn Pushkar and the powers that be at YSN, and all I see is one green spot and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, too many to count red spots. Everything is canceled except for one game as of right now. And that one game, first pitch set for 5:30, is Howland versus Canfield. And we will have it right here on the network if it is played. And I say if because I have some sneaky suspicion that if everything else is canceled, at Canfield, which is still natural grass, beautiful field though, beautiful field, very well manicured, I've got this crazy sneaking suspicion that Canfield will get axed as well. But I'm holding out hope. The fingers are crossed. The toes are crossed. I'm ready to go. I hope it's happening because it's one of those tough situations that spring has reared its ugly head yet again with some nastiness, that transition weather between winter and spring. And it's right here. I felt it. I was out at 3 a.m. this morning. It went from pretty warm weather to pretty chilly weather within a 6-hour time frame. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the weather was rough when we got down to Myrtle Beach. Saturday and Sunday, it was tough skating. And again, everything's better, right? Your mood's better when you're on the beach. Doesn't matter what the weather is. We had the balcony overlooking Myrtle. But it was cold. It was chilly. It was rainy. But yours truly, like the warrior he is, sucked it up. Because that's what it's all about. No, it was nice having family down there. It was awesome being down there with the families of our YSN schools. Just great communal time. It was awesome to sit down, break bread, call some games, be at some games. Actually, I was in the crowd at a couple of I was at Canfield. I was at Austintown Fitch. I didn't make it to Ursuline like I wanted to. Had a chance to call some South Range baseball as well. So, I mean, it was pretty well put together, and our teams did really well down there. And we're going to talk about the difference of why it means a lot for our teams to do well down south here in a moment. But let's talk about the week that was. It was gorgeous weather starting on Monday, right? You had the Sunday holiday for Easter, and then Monday you get down to the nitty gritty, you get down to some business, and it started out a little bit rough for yours truly because we had an 8 o'clock game scheduled, but we had the wrong time down. It was a 10 o'clock game, so we got to set up a little bit early. Chris Colucci and I did the majority of the games together, and it was cool to see a young man who wants to get into broadcasting get some of his first cracks down there, and he fit in very well. He did very well. He talked about exactly what we needed him to talk about, and being the color commentator, and had a couple of good calls for the South Range baseball team. Shane Lindstrom getting his first career home run. Congratulations to Shane Lindstrom, going on to play football at the next level, but hitting dingers in his senior year. And, it was funny, before the game, they called it, there was a group of us, and somebody said, Shane, you should hit a home run today. And Shane goes, oh, I don't know about all that, maybe a single. And he goes out and cranks a home run, leads the team with 4 RBIs in that game, gets a win. When you look at other teams that took the Myrtle Beach trip, Poland baseball, they were flying high heading down there. To me, it's all about schedules. It's all about who you're going to go up against. And I've, for 6 years, have had the question of, why don't our teams match up in the South? I would love to see a Bash at the Beach schedule with some of our teams. Maybe even you either start your series down there with a local team, or you finish it with a local team. And we almost had it. We almost had a dream matchup that hasn't happened for a couple of years, and it only happened in the regional finals. And it was supposed to happen last year, got canceled. It's not happening this year. It almost happened on Friday. We almost were witnesses to South Range softball versus Ursuline softball in Myrtle Beach. And I know on Thursday night, I got the text message, and I was amped up. We were at dinner. I got the text message, don't make any plans for tomorrow at 8 a.m. Ursuline and South Range squaring up at Myrtle Beach. I was so excited. I don't know that I ate as much as I possibly could, because everybody knows about the buffets down there, right? So I'm trying to get my money's worth, and this text message happens. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was so excited. I've wanted to plan this Bash at the Beach for years. 4 years. And it almost finally happened. Almost finally happened. Man, that would have been something. All right, Jimmy Powers chiming in. My hero says we need to get a few St. Louis teams and Valley teams together in the spring. Oh, man. Jim, that's a good idea. That is a great, great idea. Get it down the Grand Slam at the Grand Strand. Jim Powers, DJ Yoakley on the call. Oh, mama. Oh, man, that would be solid. Bring them. Bring the STL down. There's no fear here. I know the St. Louis teams don't fear the Mahoning Valley, but that would be something to talk about for sure. Absolutely and for sure. All right, so let's talk about schedules for a moment, for a good moment. We talked about it last night during the I always forget the name of the show, the Diamond Rundown, the Diamond Dugout Report, something, I don't know. Sam and Sam and Anthony came up with it. I'm exhausted. I got up at 2 a.m. Just be ready. Like, there's going to be some crazy stuff flying around. Jimmy says, let's go. Let's go, James. Scheduling. When ADs and a lot of times athletic directors have to schedule out a year or two in advance. But for these, I don't think they're necessarily in control of their schedule. Basically, the gist of it that I got was the phone call happens. It goes like this. Hey, how do you feel about your team this year? Hey, we're going to be really good. Give us the best competition you have. Click. Had to hang up for those of you who still have to hang up their phones at home. I'm really interested. Some of these teams down there were really good. And some of these teams couldn't hold a candle to the type of softball that we play here in Northeast Ohio. And that intrigued me on so many different levels. And let me tell you why. And softball and baseball, by the way. In Northeast Ohio, you get approximately, now in a 3-month season, right? You start in April, basically, late March. You get April, May, somewhat June if you make a run. So really it's a 2-month game season, 3-month full season, right? In the 3 months that coaches have their players, a solid month of that is indoors. A solid month. Like, I've seen teams go out for the first time for their first game. They go outside for the first time for their first game, and that's just how you got to do it. Whether it's rain, sleet, snow, just bad field conditions. I remember in high school, we didn't have turf. We had the grass football field, and we had a grass practice field, and we played at the park. And the only way to get out and get some sunshine before our first game was we were playing catch in the parking lot. In an empty parking lot, we were playing catch just to get the feel of the air on the baseball, just to get the feel of being able to loosen up the arms a little bit, the outfielders to let it fly. That sometimes doesn't change. There's some things that change in 20 years, and there's some things that don't. There's a lot of teams that were struggling to get outdoors in recent years. This year, not so much. You know, we've had some good, decent weather for some games. But when you are a northern team, especially in this neck of the woods, it is tough skating to go down and play a team from South Carolina, from Florida, from wherever it may be in the South, Georgia, and to stack up with them because they play baseball, they play softball all year round. And that is a incredible advantage. Incredible advantage. They also, I found this out years ago and confirmed it again this year, they also have varsity athletics begin at 7th grade. And some of you are out there saying, well, in 7th grade, I mean, what 7th grader is going to be dressing for varsity? Let me explain a little thing. If you're playing all year round, you're going to need some arms. You're going to get some reps as a 7th grader, 8th grader in that scenario. And by the way, I've seen some 7th graders that have more talent than seniors because of the golden era of travel baseball and travel softball. Baseball, I'm a little bit more with it because baseball, if you are in a varsity setting as a 7th grader, and you think about that, what that means, that is a 12 to 13-year-old in a varsity setting, possibly facing off against an 18-year-old. A 6-year age difference, which unlike college, the young man, young lady is still growing. They're not even close to being mature enough to take on a grown man or a grown woman in the field of battle. That's a story for another time. However, the experience that these players have and they possess when we come down from Northeast Ohio or Western Pennsylvania, wherever it might be, is night and day. However, not just this year, not just last year, not even, for maybe the last decade, we have gone down and whipped their tails. Just absolutely battered and bloodied these teams that play all year round. And you can see the coaches scratching their head like, what is going on? These boys and girls do not get outside at all. And we're outside all the time. We're fighting gators. We're drinking sweet tea out of our Gatorade bottles. We're crushing the softball, crushing the baseball. And yet here comes the mighty Northeast Ohio, and they teach us a thing or two about a thing or two. And there's nothing that I can put my finger on. It's not the pitching is better, the hitting is better, we play better small ball, it's across the board. It is incredible to see. The velocity's higher. The strike count's higher. The changeups are better. I mean, you could go both sports tit for tat and you can look across it. I'm telling you, I said it on the show last night. If there was an all-star team, let's say we call it the YSN all-star team, we take our best from up here in the 80 schools that we have, and we take it down south, we would not lose a game all year. We wouldn't lose a game. It's a school called Aynor, Aynor. And if you saw this game last week, you saw a dandy. South Range played them. Ursuline played them. I think in back-to-back days, if I'm not mistaken. South Range took them to the limit in an 7-6. It was a one-run game. 7-6. They were down 5-1 where the Lady Raiders came back all the way, took the lead, and then gave it up in the bottom of the 6th inning. They go into the 7th inning. Nobody scores. It goes to international. And international, for those of you who don't know, is you start every inning with a runner on second base, nobody out. The last person that batted, or the last out recorded. I think it's the last person that batted goes to second base. And you look at that and you go, oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with that in travel ball. There's a lot of South Range people that were frustrated. They loved the game. Good experience. Lost the game. But it was a great game. But the one thing that I heard was international rules should not be sanctioned by the NFHS until you get to perhaps the 9th inning, 10th inning, something like that. Especially in softball. Now, what I was scratching my head about was we have rules that are baked in and cooked into the NFHS and the OHSAA. And the NFHS is the National Federation of High Schools, right? So if you're wondering what that is, it's kind of like the overlying ruler, right, of the OHSAA. So there's the NFHS and there's the OHSAA that buys into what the NFHS says, but they govern the Ohio side of things. The OHSAA does a really good job, almost to a fault, of keeping the games moving along, right? We don't want to turn this into a 4-hour contest. We don't want it. Kids have homework. They've got other things. Parents have, they've got to get their kids home, get them fed, move it along, and be that student part of the student athlete. I'm not so sure in South Carolina that there is much worry about anything, let alone how much time a softball game, baseball game is taking. It was incredible to see these young ladies every single pitch, without a hesitation, walk halfway down the line at third base. This is the hitter. Walk halfway down the line at third base, have basically a conversation with their coach, come back, and then go through a routine. And most routines, you have routines when you shoot a foul shot. You have routines when you step into the box. Everybody remembers Nomar Garcia-Parra, right? The wristband thing and the batting gloves thing. Everybody has it. But your routine should not take 30 seconds every time. I mean, in a 8-pitch at bat, that's 4 minutes that you've been in the box. 8 pitches, 4 minutes. That is a long, especially in softball. That's a long time. Umpire's not worried about it until it seemed like the 7th inning comes, the 8th inning comes. All of a sudden, we're keeping track of time. And they're like, got to wrap it up. Spin those wheels, runner on second, international rules apply, let's go. And then all of a sudden, everybody was okay with playing a little speed-up ball. It was wild. South Range girls held their own against Ainer, which is and you can look it up, this is one of the best teams in the entire state of South Carolina. And Ursuline and South Range took them on head on. That's what I love about Myrtle Beach. The fear is out the window. I love this about baseball and softball in general. Basketball is getting to be like this as well. Baseball and softball, you schedule whoever the heck you want. Like, there's teams that won't play today that may not play this year. It might be on their schedule to start the year. It may not be on their schedule to end it, because now you're going to start looking for games. Some of these teams have had cancellations after cancellation. And it's, and now it's time to kind of play Tetris a little bit and see whose schedules fit together. And sometimes it doesn't happen. So you have to pick up another game in order to get your max amount of games, to get your max amount of reps, to keep your arms fresh, to keep your bats hot, whatever it may be. Baseball and softball, they will play anybody. A Division IV could call a Division I and vice versa, and they'll line it up. I love it. Zero fear, because yes, everybody gets in the playoffs, but baseball and softball, more than I think any other sport, is an any given day sport. And anybody can win on any given day. And I think the proof is in the pudding there. I think there's teams that can go out and win consistently. But I also think there's times where, I'm not really feeling it today. Or you're not seeing the ball well. Or the conditions aren't suitable for your style of play. For instance, if you're playing on a turf field, small ball is a little bit tougher, because that is a true bounce, true hop. There's no slowing down the baseball or softball. But if you play on dirt, slows it down. Slows it down. And if you're on grass, even more so. So you go the difference from being in Myrtle Beach, where it's all turf at the Ripken Experience, to Eastwood Field, where it's all plush and it's all actual natural grass. It's the difference. It's all the difference. And I give a lot of credit to these coaches, especially from up here, that go down and say, give me the best 5-6 teams that you have, and we're going to take them all on every single day. And I watched it happen, not from just South Range's point of view. I watched it happen across the board. Canfield went down there, suffered their first loss. They played a tough team. They lost by 1 run. They played a tough team. The boys, Canfield, they go out, get a walk-off one day, lose on a walk-off the next. South Range goes undefeated. Poland had some struggles down there. But it's almost like Vegas, where whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Nobody is sitting there concerned about what is happening in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, in Florida. They're not worried about that. You know what they're worried about? Well, how good was the team they played? Because when that comes back and people realize that you're playing a state runner-up, when you're in a different state, when you're playing these teams that are absolutely loaded and you 10-run them, then you have their attention. Because coaches up here understand, if you go down and 10-run a team from South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever, Virginia, Florida, you're playing some good ball. And the schedule lines up. The schedule lines up, and you look at the schedule and you go, oh boy, we still got 2 with these teams and we got to face their ace. And he just had a no-hitter, which, by the way, No hitters, perfect games. Did somebody plant a tree around here? Because they're just plucking them off like it's like apples last week. Kudos to all of those great pitching performances that were last week. The starting nine released last night on both sides, boys and girls. Incredible to see that. And not only, Sam Torres pointed out a great point. Not only are they throwing no hitters, perfect games, but they're also contributing offensively. 4 RBIs, 4 for 4, 2 stolen bags. What? And you look at that, and it's a direct translation into the type of sports, the type of athlete that we're breeding up here, that we are creating up here. We're molding monsters. That's exactly what we're doing. And at some point, it's not going to surprise me. They'll take our money, without a doubt. But to quote a lady from down south who so eloquently put it, we don't like y'all, but because we have to play y'all, but we'll sure enjoy taking your money. Like, that was when I realized people in the South, they sound really nice, but they can be really, really mean. They can be jerks. Like, it's just like a thing down there. I don't know if it was the weather was a little bit colder than they're used to, and they had their panties in a bunch or what, but my goodness, they were angry Southerners this time around. And that's why we kicked their ass. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. But nobody was in a hurry. And I know that's a little bit more of a Southern thing, that everybody slowed us down and, take it easy, take a load off. Let me pour you some sweet tea. Cats and kittens. It was like 2 miles per hour zones. It was lower than you're running around in your local park. It was walking speed. It was incredible. But again, a successful trip for those who took it down in Myrtle Beach, also in Pigeon Forge, and in Florida. We're going to take a break. We come back. Still a lot to talk about here on the YSN Power Hour, powered by our friends at Toyota of Warren. We'll be back in just a second right here on your home for all these local sports, your sports network.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Flynn. Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists.
Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats.
Go Dogs.
Go Tigers. Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Mill Creek Metro Parks is your park for all seasons. Make a memory in the park. Plan your visit today at millcreekmetroparks.org.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the YSN Power Hour, powered by our friends at Toyota of Warren. As I say that, I realize we didn't run a Toyota of Warren ad. Let's run that real quick and pay some bills.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
There we go. And a special thanks to Toyota of Warren, the official vehicle of the Power Hour here on YSN. I got the Toyota Tundra, brand new 2023 Toyota Tundra. Thanks to Tino Merlot and the entire gang out there for getting me into that new vehicle. If you see it on the road, make sure you give us a wave, say hello, whatever, take selfies around it. You're not going to miss it. I can promise you that. It doesn't camouflage very well out into the open. So, again, thanks to Tino and the entire team out there. I want to say thanks to everybody, all our sponsors out here on YSN for being so great and allowing us to do what we love and what you love, which is broadcast local sports and help communicate all the great talent that we have here in the Valley and outside it. All right, what do we got here from Jim Bartell? He says, very impressed with Fitch girls. Yeah, no doubt about it, Jim. It's and very impressed with the guy calling the Fitch girls. Your son, your beloved Tyler. I'm going to go with Jay Bartell. I don't know his middle name, but we're going to go with Jay. And you know what? Had a chance to break bread with Ty and be down there. Great family, loving husband, loving father, and loves his job, loves what he does at YSN, and always asking to put more on the plate. Jacob, I was right. Tyler Jacob Bartell. I love it. I don't get those right very often, like Stephen Q. Leslie. I know that's not right. Nobody can guess mine either, by the way. And it's not Jay. Oh, people thought it would be Jay. It's not Jay. Good luck with that. So, yeah, Ty had a great time down there. Chris Colucci was down with me, a senior at South Range High School, and he did a phenomenal job down there, and was a great steward of everything down there. Was so polite, and got to break bread with him a lot down there, and we had some memories that'll last forever. And I think that's one of the most important parts. And it's great that, and we're talking about the spring trips that some of these teams take, and it's great that you're going down and you're playing baseball, softball, whatever it is, right? Phenomenal opportunities I never had and wished every day that I did, because it would have made my time in high school playing sports that much more powerful, right? Because I'm a huge advocate, huge believer that high school prepares you, and especially high school sports, it prepares you for the rest of your life. And not everybody gets to go and has the pleasure and privilege to go play college ball or just at the next level, any type of athletics. And I think that's one of the things that is most important to me, and we're going to get to that in just a second, but I'm going to finish this thought about the camaraderie, the fellowship that you can build as a team, the team bonding experiences from being out on the road a little bit. If you weren't part of a team that had to go out on the road, and I'm not talking like the 15, 20-minute bus trips. I'm talking about spending a lot of time with your teammates and getting to know them on a level of, what side of the bed do they like to sleep on? What is it that, are they Oscar or Felix? And the older generation knows what I'm talking about right there. Are they homebodies, or are they people that like to go out? Are they, how do they like their steak? How do they what's their favorite flavor of pizza? Stuff like that, where you really get to know somebody and bond. And a lot of these seniors, their big jobs are, from the coaching staff, is figure out how to pass that torch, because the guys and gals that did it before you did it for you. You need to figure out how to pass that torch, and who are you going to wrap your arm around and take under your wing and teach them the way of, South Range softball, Fitch softball, Poland baseball, whatever that case may be, right? And I saw it happen, and I've seen it happen for the last few years, because I've I've been able to look past just the actual what's going on in the field. To watch the Fitch girls in the dugout, the fellowship, the team chemistry, the atmosphere, it's incredible. It is. To watch these teams go out on the beach in full uniform and take a picture in front of the ocean is a picture that not everybody necessarily wants because it's hot. It's, you don't want to be out there in your uniform. You want to be out in your bathing suit, whatever it may be. That picture, you'll look back, I promise you, in 20 years, and you're going to get feelings, and it's going to take you back to the beach, and it's going to take you to moments that you had this past week that you couldn't pay for. You can't pay for that experience. Those are experiences that just happen. And kudos to the parents, kudos to the schools for allowing these moments to happen for these youngsters, because they have no idea what's going on. But we do. We understand the moments that they're sharing together. Prom's great. I'm not going to knock the prom. Homecoming's fantastic. These dances, these boat trips, all these things that they're going to have to wrap up the senior year. But to spend it with family for a week over Easter, to spend it with your teammates, your coaches, to me, it's what makes baseball and softball that much more special. It does. Football's it's an animal of its own, and people are going to say, well, "What about football?" Football is a little bit different. Football season is a lot longer. I mean, you think about from, I want to say it's June 1st now, if I'm not mistaken, all the way till December 2nd, December 3rd. I mean, you're talking 5.5 months. And that doesn't include, the everyday weight room facilitations, checking in with coaches, film study, all that stuff, constant, right? Football is an animal. Baseball and softball, you don't typically watch film, right? Unless you're watching YSN, maybe you're watching Game Changer a little bit. The angles aren't great, typically, but you can see what you're doing. Typically, it's a day at the office. You close up your briefcase, you walk off, and you shower it off, as Clint Hurl would say, and you go at it tomorrow. It's a different culture. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different feeling because there's a lot more of them. Baseball, professional baseball, there's 162 games, right? If you go 0 for 4, you just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you don't do it again tomorrow. Not a whole lot you can do. You don't cry over spilled milk. I love these trips because they're more than just games. They're ways that you learn to be a leader. They're ways that you learn to be a follower. There's ways that, there's opportunities to become a listener. There's opportunities to become a vocal person in the locker room, in the dugout. I think the coaches benefit from it. I really do. I think the coaches see what kind of tenacity their team has. I mean, that's a 10.5-hour trip down. And you get down there and again, you're playing cards, you're doing stuff, you're just having time with your team. And a coach can see that and apply it during a game, right? He sees that the senior was taking the sophomore, let's say, under their wing during a timeout. You can look to the senior and say, hey, help him with confidence, help her with confidence, give them a shot in the arm. They're not listening to me, but they'll listen to you. It's a special thing that happens down there. And I really hope that more teams start thinking about going down there during breaks. I know it's early next year. I believe it's March 28th or so. And then it rolls over into the following first week of April. And I really would love to see, really, really would love to see a majority of our teams go down there. And if you play each other, awesome. Who cares? I know the conference play. Like, I would love to see a conference team or a conference matchup that they just throw the home team out the window, or the home team decides that they're going to give up their home game and they're going to play at the beach. I think it would be phenomenal. Talk about the ultimate experience, right? And I understand coaches will say, well, there's a different mentality down there. It's more of a laid back man. Listen, I get it. I understand it. When you're playing that close to the beach, there's a little bit more of the sting in the sun. But make no mistake about it. When red lines up against blue, blue still sees red. Does that make sense? When red lines up against blue, blue will still see red. They don't care where they play. They're still rivals. When there's a conference game on the line, things are going to tighten up. And you're going to get that game in. There's a 99% chance you're going to get that game in. Whereas, look what we came back to. We've got all these games in last week. Obviously, the Friday was a different story. But here we come back to Ohio. Monday, we've got conference games, big-time conference games scheduled, and we can't play them because of Mother Nature. Play it down there. Get on. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's play Bash at the Beach, conference style. I love it. I love the idea. I know AD sit there and we're not going to travel 650 miles to play a team that's 6 miles away. I got it. I get you. But come up with a better excuse than that. I want to hear something better because at least you're getting the game in. Who cares who's home or away? Baseball and softball for most schools aren't a revenue sport anyway. You're not losing money. You're actually probably saving it because they're going to do the field for you. Really, the field's, I'm trying to think. At Ripken, it was already done. It's all turf. I think at the North Myrtle Beach complex, they had to do the field, like line it. I digress. Play ball. When you can play ball, play ball. I'm really hoping, I'm going to turn this over right now, and I'm hoping Howland and Canfield is still green. We still might have a game tonight, ladies and gents, out in Cardinal country, little AAC matchup. Yeah, just, I want to see more of that. I want to see teams play teams because why not? Line your best up against their best. Let's play 7 innings and let's go. Very interesting to me. The power rankings are out. The Power 20 is out for this week. Kudos to Sam, to Anthony, to Steve for putting together the Power 20 this week. You can catch all that on our social media pages. And to no one's surprise, the softball Power 20 number 1 is the Austintown Fitch Lady Falcons. And they have been impressive. Jim Bartell kind of alluded to it. They're outstanding. The atmosphere and all 9 positions are really, really good. It is hard to find a chink in the armor of the Austintown Fitch Falcons. It is very, 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 very tough. Even if it's out there, I'm not seeing it. But there's also a few teams. You look at South Range, you look at Canfield, who are respectively 3-2, I believe. South Range is 3, Canfield is 2 in the Power 20. Pretty doggone good themselves. South Range suffered a loss down there, as did Canfield. To 2 really good teams. We talked about South Range playing Aner. Lost in extra innings. And Canfield, just a game where the offense wasn't going. They were playing a really good pitcher. And I think it was 2-1, if I'm not mistaken, final score. And Coach Kernan doing a wonderful job again with the Canfield girls, and can't say enough about the coaching staff and Jeff DeRose for the South Range Lady Raiders. For the boys, Archbishop Hoban, they weren't on the list last week, and they stormed the castle this week, and the Knights are number 1 on the Power 20 for baseball. And then I believe it's reverse order. I think it goes South Range and then Canfield. And you look at South Range, they went 5-0 on the trip down to Myrtle Beach. The pitching was excellent. You've got Skirpak and Terajak. I'm going to start calling them Pack and Jack. They absolutely just lit South North Myrtle Beach on fire. The pitching was stellar. You got some just unbelievable offense. You had Lindstrom hitting his first career home run. You had Plunkett, who was red hot as well, coming through. You had guys from all over that lineup, 1 through 9, just were tough to get out. And that, if you're Jim Hannick, you're looking at that and you're seeing that and you're understanding, okay, now I can create and I can craft, because he's a numbers guy. He can start crafting a lineup that 1 through 9, they're going to beat you up. And he can start switching places and putting in new cleanup hitters. He can put in a new 5 guy, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a rollover, right? That 9 guy can be a second leadoff hitter if you treat it right. Jim Hannick, one of the best guys with numbers and statistics, and digs deep into them. He's got a lot to dig into over that 5-game trip to Myrtle Beach. Even though South Range was on the right side of the scorecard, you look at that and you go, okay, what can we do when we get back? We got to play Poland. And tonight's game canceled, but that just gives you more opportunity to start thinking about, okay, we're going to pitch probably Skirpak, and who's going to come in relief? Is it going to be the Junkyard Dog? Is it going to be, Joey A? Is it going to be, one of these underclassmen that have really stepped up? Sean Updegraff stepping up. I think getting his first varsity win in that 5th game. Congratulations. Incredible stuff. But that is the beauty, again, of Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach and these spring trips, you can throw guys into these situations and just see if it's sink or swim. And South Range did a lot of swimming this past week. And I'm not talking about the kind that's on the beach. But to be able to look at these teams and to see the kind of grit, determination, and the type of tenacity that they're building to bring back home and to start making that run right now, ladies and gents. I mean, we're talking, it's the 17th of April right now. At this time in 30 days, we're talking about playoffs. We're talking about probably the second round of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. We're talking about teams that are going for a state championship, because there's always a couple. Very rarely anymore do we see teams from around here not make a run. Who's going to be that team this year? Canfield people, close your ears, give a little earmuff action. Who's going to be the Niles that comes in out of the blue and just upsets the apple cart? Who's going to be the 2018 version of the South Range Raiders, who goes in with a losing record and comes out with a state championship? Who's going to be that team? We have so much talent, so many great teams around here, and they're evenly distributed around this area, which, as you know me, quote Junkie USA, high tide raises all boats. And the level of baseball, the level of softball around here is up. The tide is high, my friends. And the best ships are going to be sailing. That will do it for the big extended portion of our broadcast today. We are going to do our Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, make sure you head on over to dickieelectric.com. All right, what's your spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric? Well, my spark is a couple different flights here this afternoon. First, our thoughts, prayers, condolences to the entire Dickey and Dickey Electric family on the loss last week. Loss is never easy, but you look at this, and Joe Dickey Electric and everybody over there has been so great to us. They've treated us like family, and when I read about it on Thursday or Friday, I forget which day it was, your heart sinks. So my first spark is to just let the great people at Dickey Electric know that the people at YSN are your family at YSN. We're thinking about you. And that's everybody from the employees and, of course, the Dickey family that have been through so much. And they just continue to be outstanding and wonderful, wonderful people. So, again, thoughts and prayers with you. And then the other side of it is my goodness, I guess from my standpoint, I had the unique privilege this morning of standing with some great people, and for the first time realizing this, like what parents, and if you're a parent out there, you can probably attest to this, what you wouldn't give for your kids, right? So to wake up at odd hours of the morning, similar to Black Friday, and get out and sit in the bed of a truck or sit in a chair and wait for something for your kid that otherwise your parents probably wouldn't do or wouldn't have done for you. It's incredible to me how much you can love somebody. You know what I mean? It's incredible to me how much you can care about somebody and the future of that somebody so much that you're willing to give literally everything you have. And when you have a great set of parents, I met a bunch of them this morning, and it just it moved me. You start wondering, and you realize, and you start running back some of the memories in your head about how much your parents did for you. I mean, I started thinking about the Myrtle Beach trip. My family never really went on vacation. We went to my grandmother's house in upstate New York every summer for time with grandma, which I think was more of a vacation for my parents to get rid of my sister and I for 6 weeks. But it was fun for us. It was our tradition. But we really never did anything necessarily as a family. And seeing some of this down there in Myrtle Beach, and I know I'm going back to it a lot, but standing in line today and trying to establish something that will last a long time, the next decade or a little longer, you start thinking about that, and what you do for your kids, what you do for your spouse, what you do for your family, and it just made me smile. So I hope it makes you smile. I hope you have a chance, maybe if you're driving home today after work, and start thinking about the cool things that people have done for you, your family, your parents, people that you love, and you pass it on, because that's what you're supposed to do. As I was always told growing up, my parents wanted to have it better than their parents, right? And their parents wanted them to have it better than them. And you should want, if you're a parent or whatever, a guardian, you should want to have your kids have it better than you. And I think that's what we're all striving for. So I hope that you got your dose of peace from this Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? I love you. I care about you. I hope you have a great Monday, and I hope to see you tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on your sports network. That's it for the YSN Power Hour, brought to you by the great folks at Toyota of Warren. We'll see you tomorrow. YSN thanks you for watching this